Okay, so at this point, I don't even know anymore if I should like still apologize for going MIA for so long, or if you know me well enough to just be like, okay, so she's back. Let's see what she's doing now. Regardless, thanks for being here. Let's talk boundaries. So a couple of weeks ago, I've been thinking about making this video for a few months actually, but because I've been forced to set new boundaries with a lot of people, which I really won't get into because we're not trying to drag anybody here, but a couple of weeks ago, I started having to realize that I need to really take this more seriously, more than I have been before. So something spoke to me. I saw a post a few days ago. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but it was a few days before the day I recorded this video. Okay, so a few days ago I posted this. I saw a post and I reshared it, and I would credit, but I don't know who the original post is from, but I'm going to read it for you anyway. I'm going to share it on the screen, right? So basically, no one needs to text you and tell you they are busy and will respond later. If they don't respond, they are busy. People are not required to be constantly available to you or you to them. Even your significant other. Learn to give people space. Right, let's get into it. So I'm gonna try and keep this on maybe two main elements, right? Number one is social media. Oh my goodness, cell phones. So back in the day, people would write each other letters, and the letter would come when it comes. You go to the mail, you check the mail when you check the mail, it's fine. But now, the moment, especially with red receipts, my goodness, everybody feels like you owe them an immediate response. And with telephones and cell phones, everybody feels like you owe them an immediate response, or you owe them to pick up the phone when they call, no matter what time of the day they call. And it's a very strange thing. So when I posted this thing, I reposted this post, I got a lot of people coming back and saying, comments about how like, oh my gosh, this is so true. And people say I'm so rude, and people say nobody's without their phone in their hand for that long, etc., etc. And I have the same thing, right? I have the same thing where I used to feel, until a few months ago actually, I used to feel so guilty, because initially I used to be a really good like texter and I would respond, but I was also like in high school and like university and like had very bare minimum life responsibilities, and I'm not that at that stage in my life anymore. So I actually have other things to do, and it became a very painful process of having to now try to set these boundaries and make people comfortable with them. And of course, there's a lot of resistance. So as I said, I got a lot of feedback about this, and I thought, you know what, maybe it's time for me to actually stop procrastinating and make this video, because we need to talk about it. So phones, right? We're talking about phones right now. You have a DND, do not disturb, on your phone, at least for iPhone, but I think there's something similar for most phones, on Android as well. Use it so that you can have peace of mind. Secondly, social media notifications. I actually talked about this in another video. Switch off those things. No one needs to have permanent access to you at all times. And thirdly, stop feeling guilty. So phone calls, let me go back. Phone calls is number 3. Answer them when you can, don't answer them when you can't. And number 4, stop feeling guilty. So I have noticed that there are a lot of people who do it in meetings, that they pick up their phone and whisper, I'll call you back, I'm in a meeting, and then like disrupt the whole meeting. And then you have like 5 people doing that. And I'm like, or you could just let the phone ring and then like get back to the person later. But I realize it's because, and it happens to me as well, people send you, like, they lash out when they don't feel like they are, because people are very entitled to you and your time now because of the cell phone thing, right? That if you don't respond immediately, they'll like lash out. And it's weird. I don't know. It's so strange, because it's like, don't you just assume that like it's 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, maybe I'm at work, maybe I'm busy at work, maybe I'm in a meeting, or maybe I'm trying to finish something for work, or maybe it's a Saturday afternoon and I'm taking a nap, or it's like maybe I'm with friends. Like maybe I'm not at your beck and call 24/7. And if you have an emergency, maybe you should call an emergency number. I don't know. But yeah, so that's where we are with that. So I realized that number one, you have to set these boundaries for your cell phones. So we're talking about cell phones now, but I want to move into real life as well. But just to close off the cell phone conversation, just because people sent you something doesn't mean you have to respond. And just because you did see it doesn't mean you have to respond in that moment. And I'll just before I close off the cell phone thing, I want to also talk about why, right? So sometimes I deliberately don't respond to a text because I'm in a bad space or I'm in an angry space. Like I just got off the phone with like a really terrible service provider, and you send me a text and I know that I'm gonna like lash out at you, so I won't respond to your text. So sometimes or I won't pick up your call. So sometimes I will either leave it like unread, or I'll read it and then mark it unread so I can remember to come back to it, right? Because I don't want to put that energy on you, my negative energy, whatever's happening on you, right? It's not fair to, what do the people say? Project. I don't want to project, right? So I don't want to do that. Other times I'm really just busy and I don't want to sound like I'm short. And then people internalize, the way that you project your energies on them. So then they're going to feel like, oh, what did I do wrong, And this is going to segue me into real life. So for the same reason, sometimes I will not show up to something. Maybe an event or something, you wake up that day and you're not feeling great, and you're just like, I don't want to go project and be like the dark cloud in the room and be bad vibes, and everybody's like, oh, why are you bad vibes? And you're like, I wasn't supposed to come here. So in real life also, you need to be able to set boundaries with regards to your time, your presence, and your money. So money is the one that like, oh, okay, so if you're a person who already has like good physical social media, phone boundaries, etc., and you have good people have like expect certain things from you, then you can click out of this video right now. But if you're like me and most people who like are constantly trying to people please and constantly have to like reel it back in, then you've probably at some point been depleted either of physical energy, of emotional energy, and or of money. I've been in all three situations where I am physically exhausted, but because I feel this need to people please and I feel this need to like, oh, I'm carrying the burden of the whole world on my shoulder, right? I don't want to be the person who says no to somebody and then they feel like they're unloved and then like they're just sad. So let me just give more of myself to everybody who asks. And then of course, how does that end? And because of that, I read something, I don't know when, long time ago, that says people who are givers need to set boundaries because people who are takers do not. And I kid you not, they will take until there's nothing left. And whether it be energy, emotional energy, whether it be physical energy, you need to go and help them move. And you're just like, I just worked a 12-hour shift, for example, and someone's like, yeah, but you can just help me move house quickly. And you're like, no, moving house takes a long time and I'm tired. Or it's money. I've actually gone into debt helping other people, and because I felt so guilty to just say, no, I cannot, because their story is so sad and I don't want to be the person to like not have helped them when nobody else. And it's always this like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, no, but I'm coming to you, but no one else will help me. And you just feel so bad and you're like, okay, well, I don't really have this money right now, but I guess I can give it to you from my credit card, or like, I guess I can, take out of my savings that were meant to pay for whatever, I don't know. So real life situations, you need to have these boundaries. You need to set them with your family, you need to set them with your friends, you need to set them with your colleagues. You need to be able to say like, no. And this is rich coming from me because I like work 24/7, but you have to be able to say like, no, it's past 5, I've knocked off, and I try very much, even when I am working, to not make that a requirement of other people. So I will be like, I'm sending you this now because I'm working on it, but please reply in the morning. Well, that's exactly what I expect people to do, reply during working hours. But you have to get to that point, and it's very painful. So I've said all that to say all this. We need to take a moment to breathe, because I talk really fast, right? So, okay, I know I talk really quick, but I wanted to take this second to give you a moment to absorb what I'm saying, because it is a painful process. I'm making light of it, but it's a very painful process. People will lash out, especially if you're like me and you have already set this precedent of like, if I ask her, she will say yes. The day you say no, like, there are people who will take it, and those are usually the people who, by the way, actually care about you as a human being, and they're like, oh, okay, no, it's cool, no problem. And then there are people who will lash out because they've seen you as their endless, bottomless pit or bottomless well of like time and resources and money. And when you then say like, I'm not able to do this, or when you don't pick up their calls, they will lash out. When you don't reply to their texts, they will lash out. And that's when you get people saying things like, yeah, but you could have, just answered the call and told me that you're in a meeting. No. Or like, you could have texted me to say that you're busy. No. I'll call you when I can. And this doesn't matter if it's somebody you're in a romantic relationship with. Surely they know your schedule. Surely they know that probably around, if you don't pick up, it's fine. You're probably at work. Unless you're going missing for 5 days, then obviously people are panicking and they're like, are you dead under a bridge? Which is a different story. But if somebody has set a specific amount of like minutes or hours, a number of minutes or hours that they think you should respond to them, and then you don't do it, and then they lash out, then that person doesn't care about you anyway, and they just want to use you. So, good riddance a little bit. But even with people that do care about you, you will feel guilt, you will feel bad, but it's only until you get to a point where you're comfortable with it. So right now, slowly but surely, people are understanding that like, I don't respond quickly anymore. Sometimes if I'm not busy, I will, but if I don't respond to your text, I don't pick up your call, I don't respond to your DM, it's not the end of the world. If I say I can't make it, it's not the end of the world. And I realize that the people that really do love you accept that and actually help you in it, because they say things like, oh, I don't know if you're busy, are you available? I have a friend who always asks me, and I love her for it, my dear Nushi, do you have the emotional capacity for me to offload right now? And I'm like, girl, no, but let's talk tomorrow. And it's so cute because she's like, cool. And I can see this person, like, she values my friendship, she values me as a human being, but she knows that I'm a human being and I have other things happening. So shout out to Nusiko Baloy, man. But yeah, it's just, once you've set that boundary, you always have like, you have a more peaceful life, you have a more calm life, and you're able to like really then give wholeheartedly, because you're not pouring from this empty cup, because you're not constantly exhausted and drained. You have the ability to be a better friend, you have the ability to be a better colleague, you have the ability to be a better friend to yourself, to be a better family member. Yeah, so that's it. I just want to talk to you about boundaries. And a boundaryless life is a chaotic, exhausting, depleting, I need more like synonyms for horrible life. So don't do that to yourself. Yeah, thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.